my name is Zoe. I am the Tipsy Psychic. Today we're going to talk about the compatibility between a Taurus Gemini Cusp and a Virgo. And I'm really excited for this one because I am a Taurus Gemini Cusper and I'm dating a Virgo. Now, a lot of you might think that this is going to be biased, but I'm going to treat this video just like I treated every video, and I'm going to make sure that you know all of the good and all of the bad. And yeah, every relationship has its ups and downs, every relationship has its challenges, and I'm going to be pretty open about what mine have been, but remember, this isn't just based on my relationship. This is based on a lot of other information that I have on this cusp and how they work together. So here we go. You and your Virgo would be devoted on making it. You are unstoppable together. It's you against the world, and neither one of you gives up on your dreams easily. You both are always trying to get to the bottom of things and figure out what the solution is. Your relationship revolves around changes and events. Now, this is a really big part of the relationship that I have with my partner. A lot of what makes us stronger is going through different changes in a relationship, and I'll get into that a little bit more. When you're upset, try not to lash out at your Virgo. You both love to be where things are happening. Maybe that's why we moved to New York. I'm not sure, but we definitely wouldn't want to move to some small town with nothing happening and nothing going on and, no one there. Maybe someday, but right now we want to be where it's happening, okay? So I can only speak from my experience in this case, Life never gets old for the both of you. And you surround yourselves with everything that intrigues you. This may be a challenge at times. Be careful. It's very important to learn to have faith in your love because you never really know what's going to happen next. And the best thing that you can do is to let go and surrender. But we're going to get into why that's a challenge. Let go and surrender to the path you are both on. Now, if the Virgo isn't excited enough or energetic enough, then you probably would get tired of hanging out with them. So if you feel boredom around them, then it's probably not going to get any better. However, if they can keep up with you and they're ready to take on the world with you, then they would be a very powerful match and a perfect potential soulmate. Wink. Perseverance is everything for this couple. There's that earthy, down-to-earth side, and, Taurus is all about endurance and being devoted, and Virgo is also extremely down-to-earth. And so you have that side that just doesn't give up. Once your hearts are set on something, there is no stopping you. Now, you both know how to disagree. You might find yourselves disagreeing on a lot of things. It can either make you stronger or it can tear you down. It's really up to you. This relationship is vibrant. It has so much energy. You both are very creative and enthusiastic about taking on the world together. There is a bubbling amount of energy that is always about to burst out of your love for each other. Okay, Geminis, you cannot bring up something that they did in the past and hold it over their heads whenever you have an argument. You may seem to hold on to the past, and it's something that often comes up when you argue. So you might mention something that happened like a really long time ago to prove a point when you really need to just move forward, And the thing is, remember what I said about surrendering and letting go? Well, that might be a little easier for you. But when you constantly bring up the past, then you're making it really difficult for your Virgo to feel like they can let go and move forward. So keep that in mind. It's okay to not remember every little thing. You don't have to forgive. I hate when people are like, forgiveness is everything. I don't abide by that. I just don't think forgiveness is that powerful, though I think it's overrated, honestly. But you don't have to hold on to everything. You don't have to remember everything. The past is the past, and you really have to avoid holding on to any negative memories because it won't get you anywhere. And I'm also talking about when you enter a relationship with a Virgo as a Gemini, you have to really enter it as a blank slate, like a new chapter in your life. You can't just transition from being, in a really tough, from all your past stuff, and not being over it, you kind of have to turn the page when you date a Virgo. It may feel really easy to get distracted with a Virgo. They aren't really the kind of partner that keeps you focused on what you need to do. And for Gemini's, this is really important, right? Because we're the cusp of energy, we do stuff. And so when we have a hindrance like that, that's kind of how I see it, right? That can be difficult. So just keep in mind that if you're with a Virgo, they're probably not going to be the best motivators to help you get shit done. You're kind of going to have to rely on yourself for that. They're not going to really hold you accountable for stuff, but you also have to remember that that is something you can totally do on your own, and it's something that you're kind of have to face. And it can cause resentment towards your Virgo, even when they don't really deserve it, because you can't stay on task. Your work and your dreams and your projects are extremely important to you, and you like to be productive. It's important. And after a while, you may find yourself getting very carried away. Remember, you must keep up with what you are doing and make sure that you're very communicative about it. Your Virgo is a huge distraction, but a welcome one, however. It tends to be difficult at times to work on your own projects. So what's very important for you to Gemini's is really to set aside time to stay on your own path. Don't forget about your dreams. Your Virgo will still support your dreams, but they're not the kind of people that are going to hold you accountable and say, okay, let's go do work now. That's your job, all right? So as long as you're able to set aside time and really focus on what you need to do and be okay, work time, then it's fine. And don't let your obligations drag you down. All breakups are hard, but a Virgo would be really difficult for you to break up with. Breakups are never easy. Never, ever. But if you and your Virgo decide to end things, it will be very painful, very heartbreaking, and gut-wrenching. Just very painful. So keep that in mind when you are committing to a Virgo. It's gonna suck if you have to break up. Your relationship isn't scholarly, but you're both very mercurial people. And by that I mean you both have signs that are ruled by Mercury. So yes, you're a Gemini, Taurus, Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and so is Virgo. And so because of this, it makes it very easy for you both to connect. It means that you might often think the same way. You're both extremely smart, and you always have your gears turning. Both of you love to learn, but your relationship may not focus around learning. You do, however, share your knowledge with each other, and you're really able to talk to each other about it, and you understand the way your minds work. And understanding that is a very powerful part of this dynamic. You both have a very practical mindset much of the time. For some reason, you both always have to understand each other's reasoning for why you do what you do. Even if you don't really have to, you both are always trying to make each other believe each other's take on something. As I mentioned before, this relationship is very focused on changes. It is a roller coaster ride of emotions. And major life events such as moving or career changes or money gains and losses or just achieving dreams. But change is exciting for this couple. You both aren't afraid of going on adventures together. And this can cause this couple to grow emotionally. And every time they get through something, it just makes them stronger. In my relationship, I feel the more shit I go through, the more changes, the more I seem to grow with my boyfriend. That's how I feel. And so whenever something seems like it would knock us down, we tend to just like bounce up from it and get back up even stronger. So it does have its ups and downs. It does. This is an ever-changing relationship. So you can never really expect it to be the same way all the time. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You evolve together. So both being mercurial, being ruled by Mercury, it can be amazing. But that also means that you can both be very caught up in your gears that are always turning, right? It's difficult to quiet your mind and just focus on the physical world around you. And so that can make this spiritual world difficult at times. You need to work on giving your mind a rest and just learning to be in the moment sometimes. And that's really hard for people who have a lot of mercurial energy, right? Who have a lot of that energy. And so, while letting go and surrendering is like a necessity, it's also something that is a struggle because it's really hard to get out of your head. So you'll really need to work on giving your mind a rest and learning how to be in the moment. Sometimes it can really stop you from connecting with those around you. I know it doesn't sound like very intuitive, but your common sense can end up being an obstacle. And so it turns out when you get very caught up in your mind and your common sense, you really should just let go. You can get very caught up in the practical side, being able to go with the flow and knowing when to listen to your beautiful minds and when to turn it off is going to be a learning curve. And honestly, I still struggle with it today. And it's like, sometimes it's like a back and forth. And it's really hard, especially like as a psychic, someone who has to be present and grounded. Being mercurial sometimes can make that a challenge because there is a downside to it. But it also does make you more receptive and more like sort of open-minded in a way too. And you're more quick and more receptive to other people and other things in the universe. So that does help. But at the same time, just letting go and turning it off, like listening to that earthy side is hard. And yeah, so that mixed together is really, really tough. So you need to find a balance. And that's still something that I thrive to do every day. And often it works really well. And sometimes, it's part of those ups and downs. So you both are naturally very curious. And sometimes you need to remember that not everyone likes to be figured out. Everyone needs time to themselves. And they don't really want to reveal everything. It's okay for people to be more closed off. Just try to give people space. Don't let your to-do list overwhelm you. This goes for both of you, Virgos and Geminis. Opening a business might work out in your favor with a Virgo because you both have skills to offer each other and you would work well together. You're not always sure why you're trying to convince each other of your perspective. I feel like a lot of conversations sometimes with my Virgo end up being me trying to convince him of something that, like, I don't know why it's so important that he understand it from, like, my point of view, like, why I work so hard to do that, but it tends to be something that happens. It tends to be part of the dynamic. And it's not really a bad thing. I think sometimes it just can be like, we don't have to understand each other fully, and I appreciate that. But anyway, I don't know. It's like something that tends to happen. It just comes naturally. And of course, with so much change happening all the time, there is a lack of stability to this relationship. And with that, there is also sometimes a domineering vibe. When there is so much change, it can cause a lack of control sometimes, which can cause this couple to sort of seek control. And this is one of the darker sides to this match. This habit may develop if this couple can't handle the ups and downs. Insecurity is this couple's downfall. Stress may also destroy this relationship. And remember, mercurial beings like Virgos and Geminis, or in this case, Geminis and Virgos, often struggle with stress and anxiety. The more stressed out they are, the more they will find their relationship deteriorating. You would probably enjoy people watching, but remember, spying is different. Don't get caught up in the business of others. It will only cause drama to your relationship. Take advantage of the highs and really relish in this moment. Appreciate what you have and do what pleases you and makes you happy. Very important. Keep in mind that what you think of your Virgo really matters to them. They would really appreciate your opinion. You both have similar dreams and you dream big. This vision of what you want. And you usually have very similar ideas of what this vision looks like. And together you can easily make dreams happen. One thing I really like about my relationship is that we share similar points of views on a lot of things. Like whether that's like politics, our morals, and like our values, whether we want to have kids in the future or not. We have sort of a similar thought process about everything, so it's never really been like a huge problem. Like it's never really been like where we have really different fundamental views on things. Like we really agree on most things. So that's been a breeze. Together you really can easily make your visions happen. You can make things happen. When you put your thinking caps on, anything is possible. Anything. And together you can plan a lot. In fact, a lot of what you do together kind of revolves around planning and making your dreams happen. Both of you spend a lot of time trying to explain why the other acts the way they do. Now, your Virgo won't cope with change as easily as you do. And you both, because of your earth signiness, you both need a little stability, you know? And they really have a peculiar way of doing things. I would say that you do too. Now, especially for you, but also can happen for the Virgo. It just depends on the dynamic and sort of who holds the cards in that moment. Change can leave one of you feeling like you need to take charge of a situation and set some boundaries, right? This can cause some rigidity. Chill out. You need to calm down. Try doing some meditating or some yoga. Super important for these two beings. Learn to recognize when you are taking things too far. Now, try not to argue all the time if that's an issue. It often is an issue for this couple. It's not as much of an issue for me, I don't think. When we do argue, it's like over like the pettiest of things, like the dishes, or whether one of us is running late to something or something like that. It's not usually like a big deal. Like we have neighbors who are always fighting, and that makes us feel like the calmest couple in the world. Anyway, remember, you both can make all your dreams come true. Together, you can make things happen. You have to try not to analyze your Virgo. You might have a habit of telling your Virgo what kind of behavior they're doing, and it can come across as critical. Your strong opinions might offend your Virgo. Now, you might not have meant any offense by it. Like you just noticed something and you want to tell them about it, and they don't like your bluntness about it. You say whatever the fuck you feel in the moment. And trying to explain to a Virgo why they do this or that can only bruise their ego. Because you're trying to explain to a Virgo why they are the way they are, and this can just create a lot of tension. Now, flings and romantic affairs with a Virgo would probably be very passionate and seductive between the two of you. There is a fiery nature to them that can spark some drama. It's easy sometimes to get very caught up in your thoughts and get so wrapped up in your thought process, just remember it's important to share what's going on and to relax. You don't have to keep it all to yourself. A great date idea might be to go to a murder mystery party or an escape room, because solving mysteries is probably something that you both would excel at. I used to host a murder mystery meetup in Seattle, and that was so much fun. And I remember we both had such a good time there. And he would definitely help me out in setting it up because I love planning events and stuff. Anyway, you like activities that you can think through and that allow you to put your minds together. Solve problems together. It's important to schedule time to yourself to chill out and pamper yourself. Take yourself out on a date. Get some me time. I feel like that is super necessary in my relationship. I always need me time, and sometimes I forget to get it, and so I really need to do a better job at staying on top of it and scheduling it, because it makes a huge difference in the mood of the relationship. So remember to get some you time or some me time, whatever you want to call it. You, me. Don't forget to take days for you and your mental health. Like I said, your Virgo isn't gonna hold you accountable, right? They're not going to push you to do that. So that's really on you to do. It's really for you to take care of yourself. And I feel like that's a lesson that I've really had to learn, is really just to take the initiative to take care of my own well-being. And I can't rely on anyone else to do that but me. And I think a lot of relationships and their dynamics, they're really different in that case, but not in this dynamic. If you do things at your own pace and you don't rush ahead and you pay attention to the little things, then you both can do anything. You can try to analyze your Virgo all you want, but it will only backfire. Because your Virgo isn't just openly going to try to change, right? They have a very private side. And even if they did agree with you, they probably wouldn't tell you that. No matter how much you disagree on things at times, or how feisty things can get, there is a strong respect and mutual appreciation for each other. And that can outlast any argument. You would boost your Virgo's energy. You are their battery in this relationship. Most of the time, you share an interest for psychology as friends. Maybe you like talking about behavior or analyzing things, or why you do the things you do, or literally textbook psychology. I don't know. You always have each other's back, and you would drop everything at the end of the day. If they need you or you need them, you drop what you're doing for each other, and you have each other's back. You're there for each other. And at the end of the day, no matter what happens, you both are there for each other, and that's what matters. You both are definitely attracted to each other's looks. So true. There is an undeniable attraction that draws you to each other. Whether that turns into something more passionate is another story. Most of the time, if you are both casually dating each other, if things don't grow, or you don't feel like it's growing in any way or moving forward, then this usually doesn't last. However, you two are sexually compatible beings. Virgo, it's part of their nature. Virgo is naturally critical. And most of the time, they aren't very tough. It might be really easy to get under their skin. Virgos often act this way because when they were kids, they were bullied, or they just faced some insecurities. These insecurities may come out when they are being overanalyzed. Throughout this journey of ups and downs that this couple will likely face, it is likely that they will experience some amazing times, and that can last for a really, really, really long time. There will be lots of excitement and vibrant energy that will brighten their days. Virgo will bring more structure to the relationship, and you will really appreciate that. As friends, you may share a similar philosophy, but you both are way too busy usually with your family and your relationship and your career to give each other time to be friends. Especially when you're dating, your Virgo might have a really hard time and feel very insecure because of how flirtatious you are. You might feel them pulling away, and it can be because of how attractive you are to other people and like how easygoing you are with it. They want to save themselves from being rejected. So you might feel like they're distancing themselves from you because you're a flirt and they don't want to get hurt. When you're both analyzing each other, this can turn into a fight. While most of the time things are fantastic and exciting, you must be careful not to point fingers at each other or not to play the blame game or guilt each other. Chances are when you meet, you will have very different hobbies. So, for example, in my case, my Virgo, my boyfriend, is really into gaming. And I'm not that much into gaming. I mean, I've played like Sims 4 and I played some games on my phone, but I'm not a big gamer. And that's something that is very different for me. Also, he's not a psychic, right? He's not into spirituality. I don't even know if he really believes in it. But the thing is, like, that's not something we actually talk about, surprisingly. So we still get along. Like, for some reason it works really well, even if we actually don't. We have very different activities in a way. Like, I like astrology and psychic stuff and YouTube and whatever, and he likes gaming and he has some different musical tastes than I do. I mean, we both like certain things. Like, we make it come together. But yeah, we're really different when it comes to hobbies. And a lot of people would think that doesn't work, but in the end, it actually works really well. And this isn't just for me. And it shows up in other ways, like for other couples who share these signs, it might be like one of you is really into health and fitness and the other one just likes to eat junk food, you know, but somehow it still works out. Like, or one of you is really into sports and football and stuff and the other one is like, no, I'm into art. And like, it doesn't really matter. Somehow you find a way to tie those worlds together and you find a middle ground. Hiking and virtual reality and puzzles and swimming, I mean, these can all be things that you would like to do together. As friends, you both agree on how things should look. Fashion or house remodeling might be a cool activity to try. Friendships are usually pretty surface level between these two. You can't help but be your charming self. And it sucks that it could affect your Virgo. I mean, that sucks. But you can't really help it if people are into you. What you can do is how you tackle it and how you respond to it, right? When you're in love, you don't actually often do PDA, public display of affection. You can often keep to yourselves. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't understand my relationship. They feel like they need to somehow judge it. Or tell me that I'm with the wrong person. They honestly just don't really know and they can't really judge on what they don't understand. So this relationship is very private. And you don't tell everyone about each other all the time. You maintain your independence. Your love is spontaneous and impulsive. You never really know what's going to happen next. Things can be very unpredictable. Remember, it's ever changing. You're never the same person that you were yesterday with them. Now, as friends, you do often focus on a certain hobby or event that you like to do. Usually something that requires a lot of energy that you can just sort of dive into together and focus on. You might both bond as friends over math or science. If your relationship doesn't seem to have a direction, then it won't last long. Now, when you first meet, and you're both trying to catch each other's attention, it can be awkward. I've had so many people message me saying that they're so confused about this relationship. Like, why is my Virgo not seeing me? What can I do? And then I get Virgos who are like, what's wrong with my Taurus Gemini? I'm so confused. I'm getting mixed messages. And that is so common here. It's really common when you first meet, especially if it's not like online dating or you're being introduced to each other. Like, if you run into each other and you're trying to catch each other's attention, it can go on for so long sometimes. And it's super frustrated. Flirting with each other can be so frustrating. So, for example, you might try to catch their eye or charm them somehow, but then they're clueless. They're like, what are you doing? Or it can be the other way around. So there's kind of this back and forth dynamic. Sometimes you just don't understand. Like, there's so many mixed signals. Like, you're trying to be romantic, but at the same time it's sort of like they're not seeing it. You know, sometimes it can take a really long time of going around in circles sort of before you actually end up together. So if you're feeling really frustrated right now because you like a Virgo, or you're a Virgo and you like a Gemini, don't give up, but it's better to just be straightforward. Trying to be all romantic, it's flattering and you can definitely get to that, but maybe try to like be more blunt, because that's how Geminis respond to things. And it's sweet to be super romantic, but at the same time, with this relationship, you actually want to go for it, okay? Don't wait around or be confused by the text messages. Like, if you're not sure, you should probably talk about it, all right? Because you're both Mercurial, so you can talk to each other. You're communicative towards each other, especially about things like this, about where you're at, and you're both very practical. So trying to like be super out of your comfort zone is probably not a good idea. You can still be super spontaneous together, but you definitely need to just be like straight up about it, because it's pretty aggravating, right? Like, you spend so much time trying to catch their attention or court them, and they're like, what the fuck? Something like that. Now, I met my boyfriend online, OkCupid, and we've been together for like 6 years, so things are going pretty good. But I can understand that back and forthness. So you can never just expect your Virgo to just be like super romantic when you want them to be, and vice versa. So I totally understand where that's coming from and what that's like, and I feel like that doesn't just stop at the courting. Introduce yourselves to each other. Often you guys meet through introduction through someone else, so maybe a friend introduces you both. That is usually how things take off. You usually have more of a chance if you meet like that or online, as opposed to trying to do things the old-fashioned way, which is sweet, but at the same time, probably not the best for this couple, at least at first. You both have very set intentions, so just avoid that back and forth and just be straightforward. Being bold works here. So it's nice to be chivalrous, for sure. It's nice to be romantic and a little traditional and whatever, but going after what you desire is hot. Like, go for it. If you want children, then marriage is not for you. And that's usually because marriages between a Virgo and a Gemini are usually not stable enough. Now, luckily, I don't want kids ever. Like, ever, ever, ever. Neither does my Virgo. So we might get married someday. So beside the kid part, marriage actually is very successful with this match. You both make awesome partners. Now, if you are getting married, please make sure you take your time before you do so. Don't rush it. Sometimes in marriage, you might be too demanding of your Virgo, and your Virgo doesn't want to, and you both start to drive each other insane. All of the ups and downs of the emotional roller coaster ride won't be good for your mental well-being. and the need to be in control at times can make living together a challenge. That's why it's really good to live with them a little bit first. Don't just like get married and then live together for the first time. Don't rush anything. Just do it when you feel it's right. You might need to make some changes when you both feel overwhelmed. Remember, you thrive on change. Anxiety is not good and you both get stressed at times. You need to shift your life around sometimes to cope with it. And that means making changes. Friendships are not really about the both of you. It's usually about something bigger. You both can be extravagant and lead a very eccentric life. Both of you can drive each other insane if you get too critical. You both have a destiny, and sometimes you just have to see where your love takes you. It's unpredictable, and you must let go and enjoy the now. You both are full of hope and faith in your dreams. Your worries can be a burden for this relationship. Be careful not to let your anxiety hurt you. Neither one of you befriends rich people easily. You can't help but judge those who never had to struggle to make ends meet. You both appreciate hard work. And you're skeptical of those who are just given everything. You aren't a materialistic couple. My apartment is like so small, there's hardly anything in it. And I can tell you, like, we've been like that from the start. We just don't like collect things. Like, it's not like something we really care about. We collect experiences, right? You both root for the underdog and you have a very strong sense of justice. Equality is very important and you are each other's equals. You both are go-getters and you like to solve problems. And your energy is very vibrant and lively. Anxiety and stress and disagreements can arise. Just stay practical and open-minded. You are a very attractive match. There will be painful times when you feel very aggravated. You both are always so busy. It may seem really difficult to think clearly. You may feel like you're both too opinionated at times. You may feel shame sometimes. But you both are very intelligent, pragmatic beings. And you can overcome anything. You can manage things. You are capable of making it work. Thank you for watching. It really means a lot, a lot. So I was so happy to be able to share this with you. Obviously, just like every couple, this has its ups and downs, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I would love to hear from anyone who is born on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini like me, or if they're born a Virgo. I would love to know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Like, this is really exciting for me because, you know, it's like about my relationship too. And so I kind of want to know what you guys think too, for my own reasons, you know, for my own like comparisons, I guess. Subscribe to my channel. You guys are awesome. Bye-bye.